Good evening and welcome. City Council is now in session. Please stand for the invocation by Councilmember Butler Barlow, which will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag.
Let us pray. Tonight, as we pray, we ask for blessings on all who are gathered here. We acknowledge that all people and occupations are important to our society. But during this month of March, we remember that we honor both women's history and agriculture. We say thank you for all the cherished women in our lives and in our histories: grandmothers, mothers, sisters, daughters, aunts, nieces, granddaughters, friends, and neighbors. We pray that women across the globe may continue to be empowered, knowing that our love supports them. We also remember our farmers and are thankful for all who work the land, nurturing the earth and providing sustenance for all. We pray for their strength and resilience in the face of the many challenges they face. May they find peace, joy, and prosperity as they work to sustain all people. Amen.
Pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The Freedom of Information Act certification is required at this time. Madam Clerk, please present the resolution for consideration.
A resolution certifying the closed meeting of March the 18th, 2026, pursuant to Virginia Code Section 2.2-3712 is presented at this time. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the City Council of the City of Suffolk hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from the open meeting requirements of Virginia law, and only such public business matters as were identified in the motion convening the closed meeting were heard, discussed, or considered by the City Council of the City of Suffolk in the closed meeting.
Council, a motion would be in order. Councilmember Williams.
Move for approval.
A motion for approval from Councilmember Williams. Councilmember Johnson.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Johnson. Is there any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
Councilmember Johnson, if you could cast your vote. Vice Mayor Ward, if you could please cast your vote. Thank you very much. Motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
We'll now move to approval of the minutes from the November 19th, 2025 regular meeting and December 3rd, 2025 work session and regular meeting. And a motion would be in order. Council. Councilmember Butler Barlow.
Move to approve.
Got a motion for approval. Councilmember Butler Barlow. Vice Mayor Ward.
Second.
Second from Vice Mayor Ward. Is there any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
Just going to roll call this. Councilmember Councilmember Bennett. Yes. Councilmember Butler Barlow.
Yes.
Councilmember Johnson.
Yes.
Councilmember Rector.
Yes.
Councilmember Williams.
Yes.
Councilmember Wright.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Ward.
Yes.
Mayor Duman.
Yes.
The motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
We have one special presentation this evening, which will be an overview of the Virginia 250 Suffolk events. Mr. Manager, please provide an overview.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, 2026 marks the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Throughout this year, especially this summer, you'll see events throughout the country, state, and our own city celebrating this occasion. Joining us this evening is Teresa Earls, our Tourism Development Manager, who will walk you through the events that will be happening in the city of Suffolk. Good evening, Teresa.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor, Honorable Council, Mr. Manager. I think you may have stolen some of my thunder, but I'll try my best. Yes, this is the year we are celebrating America Made in Virginia. This is a statewide celebration and a countrywide celebration. Established by the General Assembly in 2020, VA 250 serves to commemorate the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution, the Revolutionary War, and the independence of the United States in the Commonwealth of Virginia. From its founding ideals to its leading figures, more of what made America happen happened here in Virginia. VA 250 is a multi-year movement of celebration, education, and community, rooted in Virginia's revolutionary spirit. It's something that we have been celebrating through events and programs for the last 2 to 3 years, and will continue through 2026, and other communities may actually continue to 2031. The goals of this program have been to educate Americans, including our students, about our history, our founding ideals, and our system of government. Engage with every community and every Virginia locality in events that tell a complete story and inspire us all to commit to the values inherent in American citizenship. We have a variety of events and programs that will continue throughout 2026. What I'm going to share with you is not all of them, but I'm going to give you the highlights. What we're calling our signature events starts Wednesday, April 15th, 2 to 3 p.m. at Sleepy Hole Park. We are unveiling our new Revolutionary War historic marker. We have a similar marker adjacent the Visitor Center now. This will be an unveiling ceremony of our marker that marks or commemorates General Lafayette's encampment at Sleepy Hole at the beginning of the Virginia campaign in March 1781. This is in partnership with the Lafayette Trail, Inc., and with support from Suffolk Parks and Rec and, of course, Suffolk Tourism. And we will have folks from the Friends of the Lafayette organization on hand to speak as well. Again, all of our events that are related to VA 250 or Suffolk 250 are free and open to the public. On Saturday, April 18th at 10:30 a.m. at the North Suffolk Library, we will welcome historian Matthew Crow. He will be delivering a presentation about the Virginia Navy. And the same gentleman will be joining us along with several groups on Saturday, May 16th and 17th, adjacent the Visitor Center on the Riddick's Folly House Museum grounds, both 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. both days. It's a 2-day naval living history encampment. So it coincides with the sinking of the galley Norfolk Revenge, which sank at the mouth of the Bennett's Creek in May 1778. This includes living history interpreters, a campsite with sutlers, and children's activities. You may wonder why we're doing it in downtown as opposed to Bennett's Creek, and the organization that is coming on board, they really wanted to be on the grounds of historic attractions so that we have the support, they have the parking, and it is obvious that people can get to and from and stop along. And this happens to be also during the farmers market, so we expect a great attendance. Probably our biggest Suffolk VA 250 event for the year is Patriots in the Park. July 8th from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. It's a Wednesday, which you're probably thinking is a kind of a strange day to have an event. But July 8th actually marks the 250th anniversary of the first public reading of the Declaration of Independence, which took place 4 days after the document was adopted by the Continental Congress in Philadelphia. Colonel John Nixon read the Declaration to the public in what is now called Independence Square. We are partnering with the Daughters of the American Revolution, Suffolk Constantia chapter, as we are throughout the entire year. The DAR Suffolk chapter has been immensely helpful and have been supportive of everything that we're doing. Part of Patriots in the Park will include an official reading of the Declaration of Independence, hopefully from multiple folks that are going to take turns. We will have the Civil Air Patrol from the ROTC presenting the colors. We will have live music from the second ending brass quintet, and we will have a fife and drum band. Living history reenactors, so people portraying colonial life as soldiers, as women and children, indigenous peoples, African Americans, trying to depict or at least translate what the revolutionary time looked like for agriculture, cooking, education, faith, music, games, crafts, and just really giving everyone a taste of what the life was like and where we have come since then, and the fabric of our community that started with the independence of America. We will also have merchants and exhibitors, thinking nonprofit groups, service organizations, and we will have food concessions, all-American picnic food, your traditional hamburgers, hot dogs, that sort of thing. Next, we have June 18th at 6 p.m. We are opening an exhibit at the Suffolk Center for Cultural Arts. It's called Through the Trenches. This exhibit showcases work by veteran artists. Stephen Liu is the featured artist, and there will be a documentary companion to this exhibit on Saturday, July 11th. And this entire exhibit will be on view until August 1st. Now, on July 2nd, which is a Thursday, Suffolk's Tourism Office, will be presenting everyone's favorite historical musical, screen to TV, Hamilton. So we are going to be showing on the big screen the screening of Hamilton, and it's free and open to the public. And if you know anything about anything, it's very popular and everybody knows the songs. Additionally, we have supporting activities and programs, things that may not be considered a signature item, but are certainly continuing with the Suffolk VA 250 theme. On Sunday, April 26th, in the afternoon at the Constantia House, we will be hosting an anniversary reception. And when I say we, I mean the DAR, but we will happily support. This is the John Constance House replica. It is based on the house built in 1720 in Cedar Hill Cemetery, and the current house was built in 1926 in the design of the original one. And the folks at the DAR are going to have exhibits and tours and light refreshments, and it's just really a chance to celebrate history and community and learn more about the Daughters of the American Revolution. Now, you don't get much more patriotic than the Stars and Stripes Spectacular. On July 4th at Constance Wharf Park and Marina, as we do typically, the Suffolk Parks and Recreation will host this amazing event. It's a great community event with fireworks and food and music and a lot of fun. And then, of course, in November, we will have the Salute to Veterans 5K through downtown, which starts and ends at the Downtown Festival Park. That is a run, red, white, and blue. We really encourage everyone to celebrate. And then there are other events that are activities that are going to be coming out throughout the year. So if you do remember, we have an app called the Explore Suffolk Virginia app, which you can download for free in the Google Play Store or the Apple Store, and you can take a variety of self-guided tours this way. We are having one that will be open this summer called In the Footsteps of Lafayette. It's a mobile self-guided tour that will direct tour takers throughout the entire city, anywhere Lafayette actually traveled through Suffolk his first time or his second time. And then we are working to launch America 250 Rocks. This is a painted rock scavenger hunt. These were very popular during COVID, and it really gave people an opportunity to not only put free artwork out there, but to kind of connect and see. So working with the DAR and other groups, we will be distributing rocks for painting. I know it sounds very simple. And on the back, there will be a QR code where you can actually register your rock, and we can track and you can trade and that sort of thing. It's a free, very simple way to connect people of all ages and get folks out there walking through our streets and our attractions and everything else. And also, we are working with the DAR to present a reading revolution. So we are adding more free little libraries throughout Suffolk and stocking them with revolutionary-themed publications that will cover all ages of readers, and hoping to encourage reading with adding additional books to the existing little libraries as well. And Suffolk Tourism is partnering with the Stillwater Tea House at the Rose Cottage for Sight See and Afternoon Tea. That is a tour that includes a narrated bus tour of historic downtown, and then ends with an afternoon tea tasting at the tea house. Now, I will say that if you see all these logos on here, this is just a sampling of all the people that are working together to make VA 250 and Suffolk VA 250 really come alive in 2026. If you'd like to learn more, you can always follow us at our website, SuffolkVA250.com. You can also follow us on Facebook if you just look up Suffolk VA 250. The Daughters of the American Revolution Constantia chapter, you can find them at constantiavadar.org. And of course, if you're looking for statewide events, you can find them all on va250.org. And I would be remiss if I didn't plug visitsuffolkva.com, because that is where you'll find a little bit of everything. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have and hear your comments.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Earls. Council, any questions or comments? Quiet group tonight. I'd like to thank you very much for everyone who's participating in this litany of events that we have up there. And thank you in particular for you and your department coordinating all these efforts towards celebrating the 250th anniversary of our great United States and the great city of Suffolk. So thank you again.
Thank you.
We'll now move to removal of the consent agenda items and adoption of the agenda. Tonight, there are no items on the consent agenda. However, not interim, somebody left interim in front of your name. I would say, however, City Manager Hughes has information regarding agenda item number 13. Mr. Manager, please provide an overview.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, we have received a request from the applicant requesting a deferral of this rezoning ordinance to the April 15th, 2026 City Council meeting. Additional details on this request has been included in your agenda package.
Okay, thank you. I previously disclosed that I have a conflict regarding agenda item number 13. The Virginia Conflict of Interest and Ethics Advisory Council has advised me that I may preside over procedural matters related to this item, but I will not participate in the discussion or the vote. At this time, a motion to amend the agenda to continue consideration of item number 13 to the April 18th, 2026 City Council meeting would be in order. Council, what's your pleasure? Councilmember Johnson?
So moved.
I'm sorry.
To move item number 13 to the 18th
What
meeting.
did I say? I said 15th. 18th. Okay, I've been corrected that it's not April 18th. One correction to that motion would have to be continue consideration of the item to April 15th.
April 15th, I'll make a correction.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Wright? I got a second from Councilmember Wright. Is there any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
The motion has been approved with a vote of 7-1 with Mayor Duman abstaining.
Okay, at this time, a motion to adopt the remainder of the agenda, excluding agenda item number 13, would be appropriate at this time. Councilmember Rector,
Move to approve the rest of the agenda.
got a motion for approval from Councilmember Rector. Councilmember Williams,
Second that, Mayor.
second from Councilmember Williams. Is there any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
The motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
Madam Clerk, do we have any agenda speakers? And if so, please explain the guidelines.
We have no agenda speakers this evening.
With that being said, we'll move to public hearings. Our first public hearing is an ordinance to amend Section 31-406 and Section 31-702 of the Unified Development Ordinance of the City of Suffolk, Virginia. This is OTA 2026-1. Mr. Manager, please provide an overview.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, Kevin Wan, Director of Planning and Community Development, will provide the overview.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. As stated, this is an ordinance text amendment that would update Section 31-406, the use table 406-1 in the Unified Development Ordinance, and 31-702C1 of the Unified Development Ordinance. And this relates to commercial stables. Staff presented you with an overview of this ordinance text amendment at your March 4th work session. It's pretty straightforward. We've received some requests from citizens to allow for commercial stables as a by right use in the RE, Rural Estate Zoning District, which is the largest required lot size zoning district in the city at 3 acres. Commercial stables are permitted as a matter of right in the smaller RR, Rural Residential Zoning District, and the A, Ag District. We define a commercial stable as a stable of horses, mules, or ponies which are let, hired, used, or boarded on a commercial basis and for compensation. This facility may offer equestrian lessons and may include a show arena and viewing stands. So as noted, this is a pretty straightforward ordinance text amendment. We would amend the use table. That would change the conditional use permit that is currently required in the RE to be permitted as a matter of right. Additionally, we would modify 31702, which would remove one word, private, in front of stables to ensure that those regulations within 31702 apply to all stables throughout the city. Here you can see what it will look like in our use table. And here's that modification I spoke about in 702. 702C1 speaks directly to, it establishes the foundation for some minimum requirements for stables throughout the city. Removing private will ensure that it applies to all stables. The Planning Commission considered this at their meeting in February 17th, and they have forwarded it to you all with their recommendation of approval by a vote of 8-0. That concludes my presentation on this item. I'll be happy to stand by at the conclusion of the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Wine. Before we open the public hearing, Madam Clerk, will you please explain the timing system?
This is a public hearing, and each speaker is asked to provide their name and address and will receive 3 minutes to offer their comments.
This is a public hearing. Will the first speaker please come forward and provide their name and address?
I'm Wendy Cohen. I'm at 955 Cherry Grove Road, North. Do I continue?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you. I came today to ask you to please terminate the conditional use permit for the stables and horses. Other horse owners also really wanted to attend today, but unfortunately, due to childcare and work, they couldn't make it, so I'm sort of representing them. But what I've seen in the different locations throughout Suffolk is that there's at least a 10-acre, 10-plus facilities that have been around for that many years. So this is nothing new with the horse community. But they either have horse properties right next door to them, or people have had horses next door to them as well. So I appreciate your consideration. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We have our next speaker, please. Do we have anyone else present who would like to speak to this ordinance? Hearing no additional speakers, this public hearing is now closed. Council, an ordinance has been presented for your consideration. What's your pleasure? Councilmember Butler Barlow.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to endorse the fact that this is a really positive change. It's a very small change in wording, but I think it's a big advantage for the folks in our communities that work with horses, and maybe will encourage other folks to have this same kind of enterprise in some of the RE areas, and support this, and am pleased that we can do this, just kind of updating an ordinance to make it more user-friendly for the folks in the community. So with that, I will move to approve.
Okay, we got a motion for approval from Councilmember Butler Barlow. Councilmember Bennett.
Second.
Second from Councilmember Bennett. Is there any further discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
Motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
Our next public hearing is an ordinance to amend Section 31-701C and Appendix A of the Unified Development Ordinance of the City of Suffolk, Virginia. This is OTA 2026-2. Mr. Manager, please provide an overview.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, Mr. Kevin Wine, Director of Planning and Community Development, has the overview.
Thank you again, Mr. Manager, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. This, like the previous ordinance text amendment, was brought to you all at your March 4th work session. Staff provided you an overview. In a nutshell, this would allow for battery energy storage systems to be a permitted accessory use only to manufacturing uses only in the M2 zoning district. I'll provide you just a brief overview of what battery energy storage systems are, and we'll talk briefly about some of the safeguards that we would put in place that would accompany this ordinance text amendment. But a battery energy storage facility is an energy storage technology that uses a group of large batteries to store electrical energy. A battery energy storage system captures and stores the energy from various sources, such as the grid or renewable systems and rechargeable batteries, and then that stored energy can then be utilized during certain stress times for the grid to utilize power for users. This is what they look like. They are battery energy packs stacked in some sort of container, and they are utilized in pods and separated on larger pads, and generally they don't take up a terrible amount of space. Here's what they look like on the outdoors. So there are some benefits with these systems. We're not ready to move forward as a city to allow these as a primary use, but we do see some benefit to them serving some of the heavier power users in the city, such as manufacturing uses. But they are effective at reducing electricity costs and providing backup power during power outages and relieving some potential stress during high peak energy usage times on the greater grid. There are some concerns, however, that includes battery recycling, proper disposal, as well as the safety risks primarily associated with lithium-ion batteries. And I'm going to touch on some of our regulations that would accompany this in a moment. Most of those come back to that safety concern. The ordinance in this case would modify the UDO by allowing these as an accessory use only in the M2 district. They would not be permitted in conjunction with any other uses, including solar energy facilities, and they would be accompanied by significant use requirements. Those use requirements would touch on several items, including the submittal, review, and acceptance of an emergency response plan to the city. This is very important because it would touch on procedures for a safe shutdown, de-energizing, isolation of the equipment, systems under emergency conditions to reduce the risk of fire, electrical shock, and personal injuries. Additionally, they would be, this would identify the proper contact information for personnel qualified to safely remove the damage, any damaged systems, and a water containment plan, as well as procedures and schedules for conducting drills and training for local first responders. A noise study would be required to be submitted, demonstrating compliance with our noise regulations, similar to what we require for solar energy facilities. Screening from all off-site views would be required. Similar to solar energy facilities, we would require a written decommissioning agreement approved by the city, accompanied by financial assurance in the form of a surety or bond for the decommissioning of the facility after it is no longer utilized. Setbacks to exceed 200 feet from all property lines, and operational requirements in accordance with the current applicable fire code, uniform statewide building code, city standards and manuals, and other industry best practices. Lastly, if the owner intends to transfer the property, they are required to notify the city within 30 days. So with these standards that we are proposing, we support allowing these types of facilities in the city as accessory only to manufacturing users, and we are recommending its approval to you all this evening. The Planning Commission at their meeting last month, February 17th, by a vote of 7-1, have recommended it to you all for approval. That concludes my presentation on this item. I'll be happy to stand by at the conclusion of the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Wine. Before we open the public hearing, Madam Clerk, will you please explain the timing system?
This is a public hearing, and each speaker is asked to provide their name and their address and will receive 3 minutes to offer their comments.
This is a public hearing. Will the first speaker please come forward and provide their name and address? Do we have anyone present who would like to speak to this ordinance?
Good evening, everybody. Claudia Lee, 3260 Indian Trail. I just had a question as to why it excludes solar farms? Why are you excluding solar farms from battery storage? Anybody know? Why is it just manufacturers?
What you can do is ask that question when everybody's done. If the council wants an answer to that question, we'll get it from Mr. Wine, unless somebody wants to call him up now. Do we have any other speakers who'd like to speak to this ordinance? Hearing none, this public hearing is now closed. Council, an ordinance has been presented for your consideration. Questions, comments, or a motion? Councilmember Wright.
Yes, can we please have staff address the question that was just brought to us?
It's a fantastic question as to whether or why we excluded solar facilities from this. The key being the safety aspect. Right now, solar energy facilities are most prevalent in our agricultural zoning district, and there's a concern that they are not in close enough proximity to fire stations, and the response time, should something go awry, would be a little longer than what would be acceptable. Additionally, the majority of our M2 uses, certainly those manufacturers throughout the city are on the city water system, and thus there would be water readily available should an emergency arise.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Wine while he's at the podium? Councilmember Johnson?
All right, Kevin. I almost didn't say anything, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say I don't get this. I mean, I'm having a difficult time understanding the approval of this when I'm not sure that we're ready as a city to do it. Just like with the solar, that was a good question. It really was a good question. And for the same reason, I'm not sure that I don't know that we've spent enough time with this. Maybe it's just me, but I don't have the utmost faith in it. And is it something that we want to put forward that is at the mercy of the facility, and our oversight would just be that? Or should we as a council maybe do something that we control who does and who doesn't do it? Maybe I'm just not there yet. I'm really not there yet. I don't understand if our system is ready for this. It's very much like putting battery storage and that kind of thing. So I just need more clarification personally. And I don't think I can support it at this time because I don't really understand enough to support it at this time. I'm sorry. That's it. You don't have to answer me at this time, but I'm wondering if I'm not the only one that feels this way. Make sure we understand what we're doing. Thank you.
Councilmember Wright?
I just kind of have a couple of questions. So I will say that I do commend the staff for getting ahead of something like this, because we did have the issue with the solar farms. We did have the issue with the warehouses. So I will commend you for having some ordinance on the book and we're not being reactive. But I do have a concern similar to that of Council Member Johnson, in that we have the ordinance, but I just want to make sure that we are keeping a close eye on municipalities that already have these battery storage. I feel like we are doing due diligence here to get ahead of it, but I also want to keep a close eye on it because I don't know that there's enough information out there for us. And Councilmember Johnson didn't ask the question, but my question for you is, so we'll have this ordinance on the book, but will they still have to come to us for a conditional use permit for it?
In the case of manufacturing users, no. They would be permitted as an accessory use to existing manufacturing uses.
Okay, so with that being said, they don't have to come before council. So before an accessory, I just want to make sure I'm clear. So before someone installs the battery storage, they do not have to come before us if we pass this.
Correct, because they would be limited to the M2 zoning district as a supplemental use to manufacturing users.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Butler Barlow.
Thank you, Mayor. And again, just points of clarity so we all understand what we're doing. My understanding of this is it's very restricted. It's M2 only. It's manufacturing only as an accessory use. So we are not, it's very different from the solar ordinance where we have something that's citywide that affects anybody that's coming in here with this. So we are not opening the door for large-scale battery storage facilities anywhere within the city of Suffolk. We're specifically allowing this use in this zoning for this accessory purpose. So to me, it's pretty darn restrictive. Am I getting it right?
That's correct. That's one of the reasons we were comfortable in moving forward with
Right.
these guidelines in place on such a small scope relative to the city.
And I think, the feedback that I've gotten from folks is, are we allowing battery storage facilities now? And the answer to that is no. We're allowing this very particular use. So I'm comfortable with it from the fact that we are not swinging the door wide open and saying, come on, all these alternate, all these large-scale battery storage facilities. We're doing this very, very specifically for our manufacturers in M2 zoning. So, okay, I just want to make sure. I want to be crystal clear on that. Thank you.
Councilmember Wright.
All right, this is going to be my last set of questions.
It is.
So in the Florence Bowser area off of Nansemond River, it's a lot of that zoning. There's residential there and there's schools there. Do we know enough about it to, because even though it's not, like in open field somewhere, that is pretty close to residential and it's pretty close to schools. Do we know enough about it to be confident that
Yeah.
there will be no negative
Okay.
effects?
The manager can interject something there in regards to that zoning.
Okay,
So the zoning around Florence Bowser is industrial, but it's M1. This
Okay.
would be specific to M2.
okay. Thank you.
Councilmember Johnson.
I'm going to stop, I promise, but can you give me 6 to 8 examples of other industries in the city that could be asking for this same thing? Just, I know that's an unfair question, but what kind of industries are we literally talking about other than the chemical industries over on Wilroy?
I'm not prepared to answer specifically what other types of users this may work for, but in our research, the single biggest users of electricity in the city tend to be these manufacturing users.
Right.
And we felt as if this would allow us to kind of dip our toe in the water as it relates to battery energy storage. Certainly prior to any state mandates that may come down the line that will preempt our ability to regulate them.
And I think the manager would like to also add a little more clarity.
So something of this nature is very specific to very significant energy, heavy energy users. Not all manufacturers would classify or need something of this scale.
Yeah.
So it's essentially operating like a large generator. So if there is power goes out, they can remain operational with it in place.
Councilmember Rector.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Kevin, just to reiterate, if we do not pass this, they're not allowed anywhere. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And then when this was being discussed in the Committee of Ordinances, before you brought it forward to the Planning Commission, was there any discussion that you could share with us as to why this was done? It was changed to permitted rather than conditional, for instance, if we're, quote, dipping our toe in the water?
Yeah, that's a great question. And it would be permitted in conjunction with an existing principal use. So it would, it's not permitted by itself as a use without that kind of parent use on the property. Thus, we're not creating a new principal use in the city. We're creating an accessory use specific to, in this case, manufacturing users. So it doesn't require an amendment to our use table because it's not a principal use. And that's why we're making changes to 701 of the Unified Development Ordinance, which speaks specifically to accessory uses.
Okay. Can you pull the use table up again?
Let's see. That was, this is back on this right here.
Those are stables.
Yes, and that's where the use table was.
Got it.
in the
I'm sorry,
slides.
you didn't put a use table up with this, did you?
I did not, no, sir.
Okay, never, my eyes are playing tricks on me. So what you're suggesting is that to make it a conditional, to make permitting this on a particular location a condition as opposed to permitted would not function well? Is that kind of what I heard you say?
We're not ready for this to be a principal use in the city of Suffolk. We're ready for this to be a subordinate use to a much larger, more significant user that would have, whose impacts would potentially be greater than what the accessory use would be.
Okay, all right, thank you for that.
Councilmember Wright, do you have a question? Okay, let me get you hooked up there. Hold on. Okay, here we go.
I know I'm only supposed to get two
No,
tries.
that's right. No, you can ask a question.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I am a little reluctant because I would prefer that it be conditional use because we don't know much about some of the ramifications. And even though we did do the solar and we did do the warehouse, there still was one family impacted by it. So if we can avoid one person being impacted. But I also want to say that I am pretty certain there's legislation on this in the General Assembly, on the governor's desk right now. Can anybody speak to that?
So there was a bill passed by the General Assembly that makes battery storage facilities a by right accessory use for solar facilities. So we would not be able to require a conditional use permit after July 1st if the governor signs the bill.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Johnson, one more question.
This is a question. I'm not going to make a comment. This is specifically for the Salinas facility, correct? And does it have anything to do, Salinas facility is also building a solar farm next door to the facility. And if we're not going to allow these, I'm just confused.
Yeah.
We're not going to allow these to be on solar facilities. We've got a solar facility not there yet, but it has been approved. So then do we go back and take this back from these guys?
No, in our discussions with Salinas about their desire to potentially establish a use of this nature, it would not be in support of the solar facility that has not yet been constructed. This would be directly in support of the manufacturing operation. So it would not store any electricity that was generated by that solar facility. It would only store electricity that comes directly off the grid.
And we're prepared to monitor that and make sure that, okay, thank you.
Council, any other questions or comments? I've got a question and a comment. My question would be, we mentioned a couple of possible downsides, which were disposal, safety risks, and a few others. Have we adequately, are you confident we've adequately addressed those concerns within the ordinance and the restrictions that we have?
Yes, specifically within the emergency response plan requirement. It's very comprehensive and would require a coordinated review upon submittal of a site plan for uses of this nature to include the fire department. So we're very confident in the existing regulations that we've brought before you all.
Okay, and if I'm reading into this a little bit, it would appear that part of the catalyst to changing this ordinance is to encourage some type of manufacturing. If there was a manufacturing use that was considering relocating or building in our city, the fact that they wouldn't have to deal with a conditional use permit for the battery storage, which, if I understand that correctly, serves as really just a large backup generator where you're storing power in batteries in the event that that particular user loses electricity. Is that correct?
That is how they
Kind of.
operate, and I'm not an economic developer, but
I got you. Well, I mean, I'm
what you're saying is fair.
No,
as-
what I'm
yeah.
saying, no, as far as the battery use, that's what the battery use is for. It basically serves as
Yeah.
a backup generator.
That is how they operate, yes, sir.
Okay, so you have, so hypothetically, we have an interested party who wants to invest however many dollars in our city with a manufacturing use that would need to have the ability to have storage-type batteries for them to operate, for them to be able to open. And by having it by right specifically for that use, it streamlines the process and possibly puts us in a position to compete for that particular manufacturer rather than and I'm not sure, rather than they go to another city because it's easier to do. So I think it's a twofold purpose, but I think what we can't lose track of is that this is very, very specific. We're not going to encourage battery storage. There's not going to be a battery storage purpose, but just strictly an auxiliary use only associated with a manufacturing use is the primary. So I think that makes it a little easier if we're good with the due diligence, because as Councilmember Wright said and what have you, we maybe didn't do our homework beforehand on initially solar, and we've learned through our experiences. But in this particular case, I mean, you've looked at it, the Planning Commission Committee on Ordinances looked at it, the Planning Commission's looked at it, and I didn't watch the Planning Commission meeting, but I would assume this was some of their concerns as well, and I know they're your concerns. So under the circumstances, I'm comfortable with it at this particular point. So let's see, we got another Councilmember Rector.
Thank you again, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of things I'd like to point out from having in a previous life worked with many heavy manufacturers. First off, there are a lot of manufacturers that, with their particular process and what they do, if they lose power for a significant amount of time, it costs them an awful lot because they might have a product that's in cycle that is being processed that if they lose the ability to continue the process, it goes stale and they have to dump it and start again. The second thing is that because of that, a lot of large manufacturers, they have their own power generation facility on their own grounds so that they can generate their own power. I know there's some paper mills and pulp mills do generate a lot of their own power. Those, I think, are significantly more I don't know, not injurious to the environment, but, they generate steam, they generate smoke, and everything else. So I think these, allowing these battery storage facilities for these kind of particular manufacturers, and it's going to be a very narrow window of people of manufacturers that are going to take advantage of this situation. I think it would behoove the city to go ahead and approve this, and if there's anybody that would fit that description to allow them to have it to protect their process, I think would be an important consideration for them to come to Suffolk or stay here.
Okay, thank you. Councilmember Wright, do you have a question? Okay, one question.
Yes, sir. So I pulled the bill, and I just want to know what this looks like. It says, "The bill clarifies that nothing in the provisions of the bill shall be construed to limit the authority of a host locality to enforce compliance with applicable codes or ensure the safe operation of the battery energy storage project, what would that look like if we had to enforce? Because it doesn't limit us from enforcing. So if the governor signs off on this in July, right, and they have it by right, what does enforcement look like for us?
I'm going to ask the city attorney this. I think that refers to if it was a standalone battery storage facility rather than an auxiliary use.
So we're kind of straying from the topic that's under debate
That's what I
now, but I'll go ahead and answer that.
Thank you.
It's no different than what we currently have written in this draft that's before you. There's certain safety regulations that we have in place, that the building code has in place, and other industry standards have in place. Those would still be enforceable. So it's not you just can put up anything anywhere. There's still the safety rules that can be enforced. It's just that you can't require a conditional use permit for it if that goes forward.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any other questions or comments? If not, a motion would be in order. Everybody jump in there at one time. Councilmember Butler Barlow.
Move to approve.
Got a motion for approval. Councilmember Butler Barlow. Councilmember Rector.
Second that motion.
Second from Councilmember Rector. Do we have any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
Let's roll call. Councilmember Bennett? Councilmember Butler Barlow? Councilmember Johnson? Councilmember Rector? Councilmember Williams? Councilmember Wright? Vice Mayor Ward? Mayor Duman?
Yes.
The motion is approved by a vote of 7-1 with Councilmember Johnson voting in opposition.
Okay, our next public hearing is an ordinance to grant a conditional use permit to establish a daycare, family daycare, 5 to 12 children at 302 Edward Avenue, zoning map 25A, parcel 1*J3. It's account number 250131300, and it's CUP 2026-1. Mr. Manager, please provide an overview.
Mayor Vesper, members of council, Kevin Wine, Director of Planning and Community Development, will provide the overview.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. This is a conditional use permit request for a family day home. That is a home-based child care provider when they care for children between 5 and 12 children total, for the operation called the Tiny Human Society, and this is located at 302 Edward Avenue. The property is zoned RLM, that's our residential low-medium zoning district, and it is within our growth area and designated as the suburban neighborhood land use type. Here you have the site. You can see that it is located in the Sadler Heights neighborhood, just next to the villas at Reed's Landing, not terribly far from Elephants Fork Elementary School. So the applicant is currently operating a licensed family day home. A family day home is what the state refers to these operations as for 4 children under the age of 5. That is permitted as a matter of right throughout the city when you are caring for 4 children or less. They wish to expand for up to 12 children, and they would care for up to 4 children in the overnight hours. It is operated by the applicant and her husband as a substitute provider. No additional employees at this time are anticipated. Here you have a layout of the home. The areas that are highlighted are outlined in magenta there would be the portions of the home that operate in support of the daycare use. Here you have some pictures provided to us that show the operation in its current form and some of the areas that are utilized to support the family day home operation. As required, outdoor space is a requirement for family day homes, and there has to be a certain number of square footage available outside for Each child that you provide care for, you can see that they have ample space in their backyard, and that will be fenced for safety. And additionally, there are 2 parking spaces available on site, as well as 3 parking spaces right in front on Edward Avenue. Here's some additional pictures that show that outdoor fenced area. So in our review of this application, the scale and size is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood. It's an expansion of an existing operating licensed family day home, and the conditions as recommended by staff would limit any potential impacts to those residential uses in the neighborhood. Thus, we are recommending its approval to you all this evening. Additionally, the Planning Commission at their meeting on February 17th, by a vote of 7-1, have forwarded their recommendation of approval to you all. Lastly, I did want to note that this is the first application that is taking advantage of a program initiated by the Early Childhood Development Commission, in which a desire was expressed amongst family day home providers in the city to limit the financial burden to seek a conditional use permit. And thus, through that, our Economic Development Department, along with the EDA, have established a grant program that would allow for potential reimbursement should the CUP be approved. So that concludes my presentation on this item. I'll be happy to stand by for any questions at the conclusion of the public hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Wine. Before we open the public hearing, Madam Clerk, will you please explain the timing system?
This is a public hearing, and each speaker is asked to provide their name and their address. We will have a 10-minute period for the proponents, a 15-minute period for those in opposition, and then an additional 5 minutes for rebuttal.
This is a public hearing. Will the first speaker please come forward and provide their name and address, and that is to speak in favor of this ordinance.
My name's Kathleen Lynch. I reside at 302 Edward Avenue. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. At its core, childcare is not just a family issue. It's a workforce issue, an economic issue, and a community stability issue. When families cannot find reliable childcare, they cannot go to work, pursue education, or support their households. Expanding safe, licensed childcare helps support not only families, but the entire community. I opened my small business in 2025 to help address the growing demand for childcare in our community, particularly for infants and young toddlers who remain one of the most underserved age groups in the Hampton Roads region. We currently operate Monday through Friday from 6:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. and are licensed through the Virginia Department of Education to care for 4 children between the ages of 6 weeks and 5 years old. Our program operates in full compliance with all state, health, safety, and supervision standards. As Suffolk continues to expand, the need for reliable, accessible, and licensed childcare continues to grow with it. Expanding my family day home is one way I hope to help support our local families while maintaining a safe, structured, and neighborhood-friendly program. Prior to this request, I engaged with my community through neighborhood platforms, social media, and in person with nearby neighbors. The feedback has been overwhelmingly supportive, with many families expressing that childcare, particularly infant and overnight care, is a significant need in our area. I am grateful to share that our program was the first recipient of the Suffolk Family Day Home Grant through Suffolk Economic Development Authority in partnership with the Early Childhood Development Commission. Their support recognizes the important role of family-based childcare and how it strengthens our local workforce and expands access to families. I want to sincerely thank Early Childhood Development Commission for their continued support of providers like myself and others across Suffolk who are working to increase childcare capacity in our community. Last month, the same evening my application was heard before the Planning Commission, 2 additional families reached out specifically asking about overnight care options. While overnight care may not be needed every evening, many families working overnight or split shifts need the assurance that safe, licensed care is available when the need arises. Although Tiny Human Society does not plan to operate overnight hours daily, we want to ensure that we are appropriately licensed and qualified to provide care to further provide flexible options to families within the community. Children staying overnight would have individual cribs or cots appropriate for their age, and there would be separate sleeping area from the main play space to ensure a calm and developmentally appropriate environment for rest. My small business will be appropriately staffed according to all Virginia Department of Education licensing and ratio requirements. Maintaining proper ratios and supervision is a top priority. We are prepared to hire additional qualified staff to ensure children continue to receive safe and attentive care. On February 19th, I attended a provider networking event called Playdate for Providers, where workforce development professionals provided guidance to child care providers on recruiting and retaining qualified staff. I'd like to give a special thanks to Ms. Susan Struben-Rauch for presenting valuable resources and strategies that support providers like myself in responsibly growing our programs. In addition, I plan to utilize Tidewater staffing as needed when hiring employees. Their services help child care providers identify qualified candidates and assist potential employees in completing required certifications, background checks, and licensing documentation to meet state requirements. By utilizing these local resources and maintaining compliance with Virginia's strict staffing ratios, I'm confident the expansion of Tiny Human Society can occur in a responsible and well-supported manner. At the end of the day, expanding childcare is really about creating an opportunity for parents to work, for children to thrive, and for our community to receive support in a healthy and sustainable way. I'm proud to be a small part of that effort here in Suffolk. As a final point, I would like to thank the Suffolk Economic Development Team, specifically Ms. Erin Deers. I would not be at this point in this process without her unwavering support, guidance, and all-around kindness. Thank you for your time, your service to our city, and your thoughtful consideration on this request. I will be happy to answer any questions you guys may have.
Thank you, ma'am. We have our next speaker to speak in favor of this ordinance. Is there anyone else present who would like to speak in favor? Hearing none, is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition to this ordinance? Is there anyone present who would like to speak in opposition at this time? Hearing no additional speakers, this public hearing is now closed. Council, an ordinance has been presented for your consideration. What's your pleasure? Councilmember Wright.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion for approval from Councilmember Wright. Councilmember Williams.
Second it, Mayor.
Second from Councilmember Williams. Is there any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
Motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
Our next public hearing is an ordinance to grant a conditional use permit to establish a contractor and trade shop, outdoor storage and operations, use on property located along Shoulders Hill Road. This is zoning map 20, parcel 12, account number 303-499-000, and is CUP 2025-15. Mr. Manager, please provide an overview.
Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, Mr. Wan, Director of Planning and Community Development, will provide the overview.
Thank you again, Mr. Manager. As noted, this is a conditional use permit request to establish an outdoor contractor storage yard. This specifically is in conjunction with some flex space that is partially developed, partially under development along Shoulders Hill Road. Here you can see the location map. The area in question is designated as employment center use within the 2045 comp plan, and the property is zoned M1. That's our light industrial district. And as noted, currently the site is being developed with a variety of condoed flex space uses. As such, the developer in this case anticipates utilizing this area. You can see it outlined in red there at the very back of the site with very limited visibility from Shoulders Hill Road for their tenants to utilize for their storage needs. It would be a low traffic area with, like I said, very minimal visibility. So here are some photos. This is actually on site at the very back. It is surrounded by wetlands to its east exclusively, and then to your west, that's the picture on the right there, that's looking back toward Shoulders Hill Road. You can see that it's a very limited visibility area. That will be a stormwater retention pond that you're looking at in that photo. And this is a photo from Suffolk Meadows across the street that shows the approximate location of the storage, or the outdoor storage space use behind those trees there that are circled on the slide for you. But once again, this would have a very limited visibility from Shoulders Hill Road and from adjacent residential uses. As such, we are recommending its approval to you all this evening with the conditions as noted in staff's report. Additionally, the Planning Commission at their meeting on February 17th by a vote of 8-0 have forwarded a resolution recommending the approval of this conditional use permit to you all with the conditions as noted in staff's report. That concludes my presentation on this item. I'll be happy to stand by at the conclusion of the public hearing for any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Wine. Before we open the public hearing, Madam Clerk, will you please explain the timing system?
This is a public hearing, and each speaker is asked to provide their name and their address. We will have a 10-minute period for the proponents, a 15-minute period for those in opposition, and then an additional 5 minutes for rebuttal.
This is a public hearing. Will the first speaker please come forward and provide their name and address, and that is to speak in favor of this ordinance.
My name is Ryan Hamilton, 1128 Independence Boulevard, Virginia Beach. I work for the owner and developer. I do have some exhibits, if I could pass those out. I'll just pass that to council. This is in response to some concerns that someone brought up about visibility, which planning director kind of addressed already. I did want to talk a little bit about the property, just a little background. This is originally part of the Smith Farm landing assemblage. We came to Suffolk planning, originally looking at residential for this area. It was recommended and suggested that maybe light industrial, commercial would be better. So in adjusting over to this type of development, in 2024, we subdivided the property, and my space was built, which is existing right there in the middle. We are currently finishing the first 3 buildings of the flex space warehouses that were mentioned, and have completed the road, and you can kind of see from the pictures that were provided that the property in the back was cleared in basically the only available area that is not wetlands. Part of this goes all the way to Chesapeake. In looking at this area, some people, prospective tenants came to us looking for outdoor storage, mostly landscape, plumbing, construction companies, that this is a limited or a limited thing that not a lot of areas allow or provide. We felt like this was a good area for this type of use. Mostly it's isolated. It's hardly visible from Shoulder Hill Road. It has an isolated road that allows for both security and limits traffic congestion and any impacts on Shoulders Hill Road. There will be a fence that's provided for screening and for security, and basically we feel like this is a good use at this time for this property. If there's any questions, I'm available. Brian Lane with Parish Lane is also available for any technical questions.
Thank you, sir. We have our next speaker to speak in favor of this ordinance.
Good evening to the council. I am not sure if this is appropriate. I am not here to speak for or against, but here to speak of what are some unintended negative consequences of all of the buildings that are taking place on Shoulders Hill Road. So if it is not appropriate to speak at this time, then I will.
The comments would be specific to this ordinance only.
Okay.
And that's, so right now you would be speaking for this ordinance. If you think your comments would be a more appropriate during the opposition, there will be time for that, but your
But I
comments
think it
would
will
be,
in opposition, yes.
okay, and it would be directly related to this ordinance.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, do we have anyone else present who would like to speak in favor of this ordinance? If not, sir, you can do an about face and we'll do the oppositions. Sorry about that. You didn't plan on getting the workout tonight, did you?
Yeah, what I need is.
And please state your name and address.
I'm Charles Lavelle. I live on 3905 Pewsville Road in the city of Suffolk. I have lived on Pewsville Road for 28 years, and when I first arrived, there was only woods, nothing but trees. There are 3 entrances to Shoulders Hill Road. One is from Bridge Road, which there's been a lot of construction there to widen the roads, and the other entrance is from Nansman Parkway, and at the intersection of Nansman Parkway and Shoulders Hill, it is 4-lane highways going in the direction of 664. The third entrance is Pewsville Road, which is where I live. The past few months, with all of the buildings that are going on Shoulders Hill Road, when heavy trucks, whether they are dump trucks or whether they are trucks pulling heavy equipment, when they pass in front of my home, they make my house shake. My concern is that it may be causing structural damage to my property that is not visible to the eye right now, but with all of the work that is going on Shoulders Hill Road, and with Shoulders Hill Road using Pewsville as seemingly one of the favorite roads for all of these heavy equipment to travel over, I do not want to look up one day and find my property in disrepair by something that was seemingly a good thing, because progress is good. We want to see the city grow and everything go well, but we don't want to suffer unexpected consequences as a result of that progress. And so if there were not studies done to look at how additional traffic on Pewsville Road would affect those who live on that road, it seems that the traffic is growing each and every day, and that with all of the heavy equipment that continues to go back and forth down that road, it will only seem to worsen as far as my property goes. With every time heavy trucks go by, I'm sitting, I used to not know when any traffic drive on that road. Now, when heavy vehicles go, anything that's pulling a heavy load, it makes my house shake. And so I don't believe that we can stand a whole lot more of traffic, of heavy equipment going down that road. I wanted to bring this to the attention of the council so that something could be done to address that, because we who live on that road, and I don't know if I'm the only one, I may be, but there may be other homes on that road that are experiencing the same thing. And we shouldn't have to have those type of consequences to our property, all for the good of progress. And so I wanted to express that. I guess, unfortunately, I would have to be saying I will be against it, even though I'm not against progress. I am against my home being shaken down by the progress. And so I just wanted to share that with you all on this evening. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Do we have anyone else present who would like to speak in opposition to this ordinance? Is there anyone else present who would like to speak in opposition? Hearing none, we do have a 5-minute rebuttal period if you'd like to respond.
Again, Ryan Hamilton, 1128 Independence Boulevard. My only response, we do have a condition on the, within the CUP for limited traffic. Since it is an isolated area, it's estimated we'll have less than 20 trips per day. So I don't feel like we're adding substantially to the traffic burdens of Shoulders Hill or any other roads in the area. It is small, and it's limited to some specific users.
Thank you, sir. Do we have anyone else who would like to speak during the rebuttal period? Is there anyone else present to speak in rebuttal? Hearing no additional speakers, this public hearing is now closed. Council, questions, comments, or a motion? Councilmember Wright?
Yes. So I actually share the concern of the gentleman who just came up to speak. I do see in the recommendation that there is a daily vehicle limit of 29 trips per day. But I'll be honest, I drove out there Sunday with my counterpart on the Planning Commission. And when we took a look at where the facility is gonna be, the actual facility is close to Nansemond Parkway. So it's about probably not even a half a mile or mile from Nansemond Parkway. But it's quite the distance from Pughsville. And while trucks can't come down Shoulders Hill Road through Pughsville, they can enter Pughsville and Nansemond. My concern that I have is while we're limiting 29 trips, you yourself, sir, in your presentation said that this is not a usage that is used a lot of places. A lot of people haven't accepted this usage. So if we approve this and we say we limit it to 29 trips, how do we prohibit, and I'm thinking about the residents, I think it is Suffolk Meadows, is the neighborhood directly across from where the property is. They already have issues with trains that are unresolved when the trains come through. And so now we're gonna add additional trucks. We already have the warehouse, the Amazon warehouse is literally right across the intersection from Nansemond and Shoulders Hill. So I guess what I need some clarification on is how are we going to enforce and ensure that the quality of living is not substantially impacted by all of these trips? Because if it's construction storage, and I looked at the back of it, so I can see from how you have it drawn out here, but that means there are gonna be trucks coming up and down that stretch of road pretty often, heavy trucks, to store items there. So I guess I need more clarity of what you envision that to be, and that's a question for you. And then for our city, what are we going to do to enforce it if it becomes a problem? The question for you is.
I didn't want to step up.
No, you're fine.
So the limiting factor on the traffic specifically is the size of the property. It is less than an acre and a half of usable space. The use envisioned is, it is construction material. It could be, we don't know because a tenant hasn't come yet to specifically say we want to use this specific area and whatnot. It will be parceled out by user for their own security. But again, you're talking something that is going to be used for storage, not an in and out. It's not like a quarry or a pipe manufacturer. They go in, they store their materials, their connexes, their trailers, their tools. Some people have expressed interest in putting in like a construction equipment like tractors and whatnot that they're not using at the time. So it will be limited just based on the fact that it is a fairly small piece of property for what we're looking to use it for. I can't promise that it will be exactly 20 or less, but using the number of spaces available, for instance, is how we would come to that number.
So potentially, the max is 29 trips. So potentially, based on the equipment that is stored there, 29 trips of tractor trailers can go through that area?
Hypothetically, yeah. We estimate it's going to be closer to 20 or less.
Okay.
Again, I can't promise that. I can't really restrict it. I can't control it like anywhere else. Once you have an open area, it's like a parking lot, you're usually limited in a parking lot based on the number of spaces, and that's kind of how we're coming up with that number.
Thank you, sir.
Vice Mayor Ward?
Only question I have, how many trips you think you're gonna go down Pewsville Road?
I'm not sure. I have no idea. We've not done a traffic study. I think it's limited based on the location, but I couldn't opine on like the exact number or anything like that.
My concern is Pewsville Road, that's why. All right, thank you.
Sorry.
Councilmember Bennett?
Thank you. My question will be to Kevin, I guess. On the, I don't know if it's for you or not, but truck traffic, I thought we had where in the truck traffic were restricted going towards Pewsville and 17, has to go back to National Parkway, truck traffic.
My recollection is that truck traffic cannot, from 17, go south down Shoulders Hill Road?
So the no truck zone is from Bridge Road to Pewsville Road. So trucks are allowed to use Pewsville Road to turn onto Shoulders Hill Road.
Oh, that's.
And there's also a prohibition on Suffolk Meadows. So you can't go through Suffolk Meadows, and you can't turn, so if you're coming down Pewsville, you would have to turn left onto Shoulders Hill. You can't turn right to go back up towards Bridge Road, but you can turn left to go down to Nansen Parkway.
That answers my question, thank you. So it sounds like to me, we need to put in place where no truck traffic, it's two-lane road on Pewsville Road. And I don't know why we should have.
So again, we're kind of straying off the topic of what's before council, but one of the limiting factors is you do have to, you can't block off all alternatives on a road. You have to have some alternative. So either you need to allow truck traffic to go down Shoulders Hill Road from Bridge Road, or you have to allow it at Pewsville Road.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Butler Barlow?
So I basically had the same question. Is there any way to limit truck traffic on Pewsville Road? And it sounds like there's not.
Was that a question? Would everybody like to speak? Okay, Councilmember Wright, I was, if we were waiting for an answer, I got you. I got you.
So, because this is a conditional use permit, and I am a proponent of small businesses, I have seen the area, that is my concern. I will say this, if I hear one complaint out of Suffolk Meadows about the trucks, I promise you, it's conditional use permit, I'm gonna do what I can to get it pulled. But I'm a little more flexible when it comes to land use decisions and it's conditional use permits, because it's conditional. We have a provision to pull from you. So with that, I motion to approve this ordinance. This land use decision, sorry.
Okay, we've got a motion for approval of the ordinance. Councilmember Bennett,
A second.
and we have a second from Councilmember Bennett. Is there any other discussion of the motion? Before we vote, I think what the city attorney alluded to is this property is zoned M1, so you can't cut off all access to it. So there has to be some access. But and to Councilmember Wright's point, it is a conditional use permit. So in the event that this is violated, we have the opportunity to rescind that conditional use permit. And the other thing that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable with it is a pretty small piece of property. It's 1.8 acres total. So that's not going to allow for a lot of traffic one way or the other. I mean, there's just no place to park them. It's basically a storage facility, so trucks aren't going in, picking up, coming out, in, picking up, so there can only be so much stored there. So with that being said, I'm comfortable with it as well. But if there is no other discussion of the motion, we do have a motion on the floor for approval made by Councilmember Wright and seconded by Councilmember Bennett. No further discussion. Council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
Motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
Okay, we have, let's see, several ordinances this evening. Our first one is an ordinance granting a 2-year extension of an approved conditional use permit to establish a public assembly not otherwise enumerated use on property located at 456 Barnes Road. It's zoning map 39, parcel 43, account number 153562000, and this is CUP 2026-6. Mr. Manager, please provide an overview.
Mr. Wine will have the final project update this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Manager, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council. As noted, this is an ordinance to extend the validity of a conditional use permit for the Barnes Wedding Venue located at 456 Barnes Road. This was a conditional use permit approved by you all 2 years ago tomorrow. And the UDO allows for an extension request in the circumstance that the existing conditional use permit is still valid. They allow someone to petition City Council to extend that validity for a period not to exceed what the original period of validity was. Just a quick refresher. This property is located in the agricultural zone of the city, well outside of our central growth area. It's located right there on Barnes Road. And this was going to operate, or the plan is to operate this as a public assembly not otherwise enumerated, a wedding venue that operates in a few different parts to include some outdoor space that may be covered with a tent, as well as a barn and expansion area. And there will be some limited use of the home as well on the site. So we were contacted by the applicants a few weeks ago, and due to some circumstances outside of their control, they have not been able to initiate the use up to this point and establish it as required by the Unified Development Ordinance. And as such, things have gotten back on track, and they are looking to move forward with construction and submittal of a site plan shortly. And they have requested a 2-year extension to their existing conditional use permit. From a staff perspective, there's been no significant material change to the application. Here is the site plan that was submitted in support of the conditional use permit, and which would need to be adhered to upon construction. The applicant has engaged with a consultant to prepare the site plan and has demonstrated a good faith effort to work towards establishing that use. And as such, we recommend that the extension request be granted with the conditions that were previously accompanied with this conditional use permit. That concludes my overview of this item. I'll be happy to answer any questions you have as it relates to this ordinance.
An ordinance has been presented for your consideration. Questions, comments, or a motion? Councilmember Johnson?
There not being any reason not to allow this to try to move forward in 2 years, I'd like to make a motion that we allow it and encourage the owners to move forward with the utmost speed. Let's get deliberate speed, as Curtis would say. So that I think this would be a true asset to the rural part of the city, and I wish them well, and hopefully they can do it. But 2 more years. Thank you.
Is that a motion for approval?
Yes.
Thank you. Councilmember
Didn't I
Williams?
say that?
Second that, Mayor.
And we have a second for approval. Do we have any further discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, kindly record the vote.
Motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
Our next ordinance is an ordinance to rezone and amend the official zoning map of the city of Suffolk to change the zoning from B2 General Commercial Zoning District to RU18, which we are not going to hear tonight. And moving right along, unless we want to practice. No practice, okay. All right, then we're going to go ahead and move to resolutions, and they're easy because we don't have any. And we don't have any staff reports, so we don't have any motions, so I can't mess any of that up. So we're now down to non-agenda speakers. Madam Clerk, do we have any non-agenda speakers tonight? And if so, please explain the guidelines.
We do have non-agenda speakers this evening, Mayor Dooman. Each person participating under the item of business entitled Non-Agenda Speakers shall limit their remarks to the services, policies, and affairs of city government and shall be permitted 5 minutes for the purpose of presenting his or her matter. Speakers appearing before City Council will not be permitted to participate in the following activities: to campaign for public office, engage in personal attacks, promote private business ventures, or use profanity. Speakers who violate these rules will be declared out of order by the presiding officer and will immediately yield the floor and be seated. Our first speaker is Leslie Rinaldi, 3039 Gateway Drive, representing self, regarding detention centers within Suffolk city limits.
Good evening, City Council, and thank you. Thank you for allowing me to address the council. I am here in my private capacity, but also to follow up on a correspondence that was sent by our committee representing the voters in the city of Suffolk. And I'm here to formally thank the City Council for taking swift action to address and prevent the acquisition or operation of any facilities by DHS or ICE in Suffolk. We thank you for standing with us both on moral and practical grounds, and we appreciate the expedience with which you addressed our concerns. In these times that are fraught with government overreach, it is comforting and reassuring to know that our Suffolk City Council is responsive to its citizens. So I want to thank you again for swiftly and decisively addressing and unanimously resolving our concerns. Thank you very much.
Our next speaker is Cindy Sluter, 118 Kristen Lane, representing self, regarding her appreciation for the service of the mayor and the city council.
Cindy Sluter, 118 Kristen Lane. Mr. Mayor and council members, I moved here from New Mexico in 2022, and I just want to say, being on this side, I had the privilege of sitting on that side, incorporating a small city in New Mexico, and you people show such professionalism and such compassion for your community. I just want to say thank you. I've seen you make great strides, and I know that God has placed each one of you in your position. There's no doubt in my mind that each one of you is here for a specific reason. And so I want to come before you and just say that I had the privilege of meeting some women last night in Burnett's Mill, and thank you for coming for National Night Out. And we prayed over you. We prayed over our school board, and we prayed over each one of you. And I think there's nothing more powerful in this world that we can do to encourage each one of you and to just let you know that you are deeply appreciated. And the service that you give to this community is, from the bottom of our hearts, we appreciate you as a community, that you would take that time out of your life and dedicate your time to serving Suffolk. So thank you very much. And that's pretty much all I have to say.
Thank you.
That concludes the speakers, Mayor.
Okay, we'll now move to new business. Madam Clerk, do we have any additions to tonight's agenda?
We do have additions to this evening's agenda. The following individuals have been nominated for appointment to the Downtown Advisory Committee effective April the 17th, 2026. Edward Beasley as the Retail Representative, Lisa Burrell as the Hospitality Representative, Vance McGee as the Culinary and Restaurant Representative, Thomas Woodward as the Professional Representative, Leonard Provost as the Real Estate Representative, and Thomas Yazuni as the Arts and Cultural Representative.
Council, a motion would be in order. Councilmember Williams.
Move for approval.
A motion for approval from Councilmember Williams, Vice Mayor Ward.
Second.
Second for Vice Mayor Ward. Is there any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
The motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
Do we have any other new business this evening to require the action of City Council? Hearing none, we'll move to announcements and comments, and at this time, I'll ask if Communications Department has any announcements.
Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the City Council, Mr. City Manager. We'll kick off tonight's announcements with a delicious highlight from the economic development as we celebrate the grand opening of Everbowl in Harborview. This local family-owned business cut the ribbon on March 6th at 6255 College Drive, Suite L, rolling out vibrant acai bowls, smoothies, and custom creations packed with fresh fruit, granola, and high-quality, sustainably sourced superfoods. Everbowl is serving up a perfect blend of flavorful, healthy options and true community spirit, powering active lifestyles and wholesome nutrition for Suffolk families. Now open Monday through Saturday, 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and Sundays, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Next up, let's give a heartfelt round of applause for Economic Development Director Janet Days, who was recently honored with the prestigious Humanitarian Award from the Virginia Center for Inclusive Communities. As a dedicated veteran whose military foundation shaped her leadership philosophy, Director Days continues to inspire with her unwavering service, deep compassion, and a true heart for lifting up others across our community. We're incredibly proud to celebrate this well-deserved recognition. Her impact is touching lives and building a more inclusive Suffolk every day. On Wednesday, March 11th, the Suffolk Police Department took center stage at the Suffolk Center for Cultural Arts for its annual awards ceremony, honoring outstanding service. Congratulations to this year's honorees: Supervisor of the Year, Lieutenant J. Bulls; Officer of the Year, Officer C. Ivancho; Field Training Officer of the Year, Officer B. Pruitt; Communications Officer of the Year, Senior Communications Operator A. Sutherland; and Civilian Employee of the Year, Mrs. Joan Turner. We thank each of them for their dedication, professionalism, and daily commitment to serving the citizens of Suffolk. The Suffolk Police Department threw its doors open on Saturday, March 14th for a high-energy, one-day hiring event that put aspiring officers in the fast lane. From 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. at police headquarters, 33 motivated applicants stepped up and zipped through key screening steps, and 3 even earned conditional offers on the spot. It's a fantastic momentum builder as we strengthen our dedicated police force to serve and protect our thriving community. Suffolk tourism is making waves statewide as the Virginia Tourism Corporation has honored the 2025 Picklepalooza with the Virginia is for Lovers Trailblazer Award, recognizing top-notch creativity and excellence in tourism marketing. The inaugural event, held last July in partnership with the Suffolk Farmers Market, drew approximately 4,000 attendees to downtown Suffolk for a festival-style celebration of local agriculture, small businesses, and all things pickle, where visitors relished the many vendors and pickle-related activities. Mark your calendars because Picklepalooza returns this year on July 19th with even more vendors, live music, and interactive experiences. Suffolk Parks and Recreation is inviting residents to help shape the future of Dismal Park Swamp at a public input meeting on Tuesday, April 7th from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. at the East Suffolk Recreation Center. This open house style drop-in gives community members a chance to share their ideas, priorities, and wish list amenities for the park. And for those who can't attend in person, online feedback will be accepted through May 8th at suffolkparksandrec.com. Suffolk Fire and Rescue is hosting a free fire and life safety camp this summer for kids aged 6 to 9. It's a fun, hands-on week where campers can try real firefighter activities, learn about safety, and build teamwork skills. The camp is led by Suffolk Fire and Rescue staff with help from teen volunteers and includes lessons in fire safety, basic first aid, and more. Snacks and lunch are provided too. Registration opens April 1st, so be sure to mark your calendar. You can find all the details on the Suffolk Fire and Rescue Facebook page. The Suffolk Public Library, in partnership with Suffolk Public Schools, is bringing stories to life through Battle of the Books, a high-energy, game show-style competition that puts a fun spin on literacy. Open to all 4th and 5th grade students, including public, private, and homeschool participants. This program builds teamwork, reading comprehension, and confidence as students prep for the main event. After months of practice, teams will take the stage at Kings Fork High School on Friday, March 20th, with doors opening at 6 p.m. and the competition starting at 6:30 p.m. The Suffolk Workforce Development Center is launching graduating high school seniors into their future with a free, power-packed 2-day STEM boot camp over spring break. Happening April 6th and 7th from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., this hands-on extravaganza dives deep into careers in science, technology, engineering, and math fields that are driving our local economy forward. Students will get face-to-face time with industry professionals, immerse in dynamic STEM presentations, and tackle real-world activities to chart their post-graduation paths. And we're grateful to the Community Outreach Coalition for partnering to make it all possible. And the City of Suffolk Public Safety Committee wants to shine a spotlight on the Public Safety Portal. This user-friendly online platform lets residents submit suggestions and feedback on community safety matters, completely anonymously if you prefer, making it easy to contribute your ideas. Please note it's not for reporting crimes. For emergencies, always dial 911. Check out suffolkva.us for more details and to get started. And the Route 17 Bridge Road construction project is moving full steam ahead. Let's take a look at the latest progress on this critical infrastructure project, making travel safer and smoother for everyone here in Suffolk.
Thank you for taking a moment to watch this update on the Shoulders Hill Road and Bridge Road intersection improvement project. The project is in its final phase. Crews are paving the roadway, completing median work, and installing new traffic signals and lighting. Repaving involves removing old asphalt, adding a strong base, laying the final surface, and striping lanes and crosswalks, with lane closures and traffic pattern shifts continuing through the remainder of the project. Because work happens in travel lanes, temporary lane closures are required. Most work is scheduled from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. southbound and 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. northbound to minimize impacts during peak hours. Work at the main intersection will take place in May, with lane closures in effect, and overnight work will occur to potentially avoid full closures. Repaving at the shopping center entrance will temporarily impact access, but the left turn lane onto northbound Bridge Road will remain open. The work will take about 10 days and will occur in May or June. Construction is on track for summer 2026 completion. Schedules depend on weather, and the city's contractor may need to adjust as needed. Once finished, all lanes and walkways will be open. When complete, Bridge Road will expand from 4 lanes to 6, and Shoulders Hill Road from 2 lanes to 4. With new turn lanes, traffic signals, sidewalks, and street lighting, improving safety and traffic flow at one of the busiest intersections in the area. We appreciate the community's patience as these final steps are completed. For more information about this project and all public works projects, please visit the city website at suffolkva.us.
And lastly, on your screen are the many ways residents can stay connected with all that's happening across the city of Suffolk. Thank you and have a wonderful night.
Okay, thank you, Andy. We now move on to announcements from City Council. We're going to start with Councilmember Butler. Oh, yeah, I guess I should do that. Here we go.
Heard enough of me for one night. Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things. First of all, during our work session, we heard the details of how we are going to address the detention center issue, and I want to thank everybody on council for working together, coming up with something very concise and clear, and having it presented very quickly. So thanks to everybody, and especially to staff for working through that and figuring out what we could and couldn't do, and for being able to kind of get in front of that issue. Hopefully, it won't be an issue, but I'm happy that we have a stand. I also want to thank everybody for a very, very minor change to our rules on horse boarding facilities, but I think very significant to the equine community, and I know that there's a lot of appreciation for making it more business-friendly, really, for small businesses in Suffolk, to allow them to operate without a lot of restrictions. So thanks to everybody for supporting that very sensible, logical change. I said at the last meeting I'd be ready for Women's History Month, and it's still Agriculture Month, and I was reminded yesterday that it's also Peanut Month, so there's many things to celebrate. And I do want to say there are a lot of very serious things going on in the world, and never to make light of any of that, but I think one of the ways we cope is to focus on what's going on good in our community and in our lives, not to ignore the very serious issues that are facing all of us, but to continue to try to stay focused on the things that we can have an impact on. And with that, I have two quotes. I have a Women's History Month quote, and I have a kind of a farmer quote. But the first one, I'm not going to sing for you, but I want to quote Alicia Keys and reference her song, "This Girl is on Fire." And this is a quote from a women's march that she attended. She says, "Let us continue to honor all that is beautiful about being feminine. We are mothers, we are caregivers, we are artists, we are activists, we are entrepreneurs, doctors, leaders of industry and technology. Our potential is unlimited. We rise." So again, that is Alicia Keys. And my other quote is from Genesis chapter 8, verse 22. And people say they think they know what the oldest profession is, but it really is agriculture. I know what y'all were thinking. But from Genesis, as long as the earth endures, seed time and harvest, cold and heat, summer and winter, day and night will never cease. And don't anybody forget, this spring equinox is Friday. That means we have equal amounts of daylight and night, and from then on, we're going towards the light and more hours of daylight. So enjoy springtime. And with that, I'll say goodnight.
Councilmember Bennett.
Well, I'll be very brief. I thought, huh? Yeah, no, you good. First, I'd like to say that I went to the award with the police departments. And it was great. I think all the awardees was very happy, and it was a very nice turnout. And Chief Bowie, I think that people appreciate what is taking place. Also, hearing that you had 33 new people, recruits, trying to get into the police department. So that is saying something. A few years ago, you couldn't hardly find anybody who wanted to be interested in becoming a police officer. So that has changed some. So I congratulate you on that. And with that, I would say we're getting ready for Easter, and the weather's changing. So hope everybody have a safe week.
Councilmember Johnson.
Wow, that was good. Leroy took my thunder a little bit. I just wanted to comment on the police award ceremony as well. We have a fantastic group of people that are looking after us day and night, and that ceremony, everybody in Suffolk should be able to go and witness it just a little bit, because I'm proud. I'm so proud of the people that work for us and what they do for us, and of the men and women that are in the police department. That's just one, of course. And then you got Suffolk Tourism. The Pickapalooza's coming forward. They just won a big award, and they're going to keep on, because there's so many wonderful things going on in our city. Janet Day, Economic Development Director, she's being awarded other places. It shows us we hired right. We've got an excellent lady here that's doing our economic development business, and I'm very proud of the fact that we keep moving forward in that line. The only other thing is I want to thank Public Works. For so long, all I did was bellyache about 58, and it's working really well. And when I see Public Works out there all the time now working and keeping our roads moving forward, it's good. And this is what needs to happen in 17, and it's coming along. So you guys just hang tight. It will come forward and very soon. And with that, I'll just say good night as well. To warm days, we're ready.
Councilmember Wright.
Well, good evening. So first, I want to thank our speakers that came forward today. It is always good to hear positivity sitting here. We don't get that often, so it is very much appreciated. I also wanted to get the status from the city manager on the STEP plan, if I can ask that during the study.
The RFP closed Friday, and we're currently reviewing the submittals, and then we'll hold interviews, so working through the down selection process right now.
Thank you, sir. And the last thing I wanted to say is I wanted to particularly thank Ms. Luter, who came up and said that she prayed for us. I welcome prayer. I thank you for that. And I'll end with this, I'll leave with this, that light is going to always overcome darkness. So no matter what happens and what we go through and what decisions we make and what people have to say, we have to press forward and always let our light shine and know that light will always overcome darkness. With that, I'll say good night.
Councilmember Rector.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, tonight, I'm going to revert to some of my old habits and probably go on a little bit longer than most people are going to want me to. The first thing is...
Councilmember Rector.
Yes.
Okay, here we go.
5 minutes? I still think I can keep it under that window, so I'll talk real fast. Now, the first thing is, in honor of March being the month, Women's Month, today my mother would have been 96 years old. And just to tell a quick story, I think I've talked about this before. Before she moved out of their last residence and moved into a retirement facility, I had given her, and I gave her something obviously every Mother's Day, but this was a big potted hibiscus plant. And she moved out of her last house in 2005. I took that plant with me when she moved out of the house, and I nurture it during the summer. During the winter, I take it down and actually put it in my basement, trim it back, and maybe water it 3 times a year. And miraculously, after 21 years, it is still alive. And every now and then, just to remind me and the rest of my family as to whose plant it originally was, even though it's in my basement, it has occasionally bloomed on her birthday, bloomed on the date of my mother and father's anniversary, and other, particularly important family dates, even though the full thing has been cut back and is in the basement with very little light. How it does it, I don't know, but it must be some kind of, clearly it's a sign to me. I don't know whether it means anything to anybody else, but it's a sign to me. Next, to the folks along Suburban Drive in the Greystone Reserve and the Suburban Woods that are pushing for the sidewalks to connect their neighborhoods down to the Food Lion, don't think we've forgotten you. It's going to take a little bit of time. We have the first phase, I think, is already in the CIP, but to get it connected all the way up to the neighborhoods is probably going to take, it is going to take a little bit of time. And I think the Vice Mayor can attest. I think he was 25 years old when he started working on sidewalks in Pewsville, and they're finally coming. So don't think we've forgotten about you. And then, Police Chief, I also want to echo what has been said about the awards ceremony. I mean, I sit there literally in awe and listen to the profiles of why these people, your officers, are getting these awards, and their heroism and unmitigated ability to be able to walk into the face of danger and face what they face is just, it's really awe-inspiring. And as Councilmember Johnson said, we're truly blessed to have the force in this city that we do. So thank you again for that. This morning, along with the mayor and I believe Councilman Williams, we attended the ribbon cutting for the new Chick-fil-A that's open at Planter Station on Godwin Boulevard. And I didn't know they did this, but when they open a new Chick-fil-A, they have a little ceremony they called the first bite. So everybody was given a sandwich and we all took a bite. And I'm sure that that's going to be very well received in that neighborhood. I got an opportunity, I want to thank Clint Rudy for doing this after our Downtown Advisory Committee meeting on Monday. He invited us to go over there and do another tour of the new library. And the amount of work that's been done since we were allowed to go through it months and months ago is amazing. And it's going to be an asset to this city like no other. And to see some of the things that are already sort of in the finished stage that they have going on is truly awe-inspiring. And I would encourage everybody after it opens, please go check it out. And then lastly, while I was not here at the last meeting because I was out of town, I do want to extend my sympathies to the family of Bill Peachy, who passed away a few weeks ago. We haven't had a chance, the family hasn't had a chance to have his memorial service yet. But Bill Peachy was truly one of a kind. He was a coach here in Suffolk. He coached state championship tennis teams. He was a basketball coach, coached state championship basketball teams, and was literally a walking encyclopedia of all things sports local. You could ask him, who was the starting quarterback on the William and Mary football team in 1958, and he would tell you right off, without any hesitation, exactly who that was, and probably even tell you a little bit of a backstory about him. So I know his family is, obviously he's going to miss him terribly as a close friend and neighbor and fellow churchman and fellow Jolly Boy guy. I'm going to definitely miss him, and look forward to celebrating his life next week. And with that, I will say good night.
Councilmember Williams.
Got me on? Thank you, Mayor. I'd like to, first of all, thank all the speakers that came out tonight and spoke. And I'm going to be brief. I just want to remind those citizens in the Wellerville Borough that we will be having, or I will be having, a town hall meeting tomorrow night at the Curtis R. Miltier Senior Rec Center on Robinson Street in Wellerville. So please come out. Starts at 6 o'clock. Look forward to seeing you there. With that, I say good night.
Vice Mayor Ward.
Yeah, I'm Police Chief Boyd. I have a reason for not attending. I was going to attend, and what happened was that my daughter Sophia and my granddaughter Kaya attend a meeting that at St. Paul Episcopal Church, and I want to give Councilman Rector thumbs up. I appreciate that you allow this group. The name of the group is CHIP, C-H-I-P. It's a nonprofit group, and as you know, some of my granddaughters, she has some type of disability, but what affected me is that there was a lot of other people there, adults, parents, and children that was there, and they put on a little program, and I was so impressed with that. And it's a nonprofit, and I would like to see what we can do to encourage that, because that's what it's all about, trying to help people who need help. So I just want to commend that organization putting that on for them groups of people, and I want to commend the church for allowing that organization to be given in your church, Councilman Rector. I really do. And I want to also give thumbs up on Tiffany, Ebony, and Adrena for doing that. They put on a great job. I mean, it was so impressed with me. I just sat and talked to them and see that they have the patience to deal with people that really need help. And I really want to see what I can do, try to help them be recognized for the good things they're doing in the city of Suffolk. Also like to thank the speakers. I know I don't say this, but thank you all for coming. It's very seldom we get job well done, and we know we deserve it more, but thank you all for coming, and thanks. I gotta laugh, huh? Okay, I almost was right. But anyway, one of the speakers I know, and I just wanted to say to her, that's what leadership is. Exactly what you're doing now, that's leadership. Not hide behind and blame others. You come out and say it. If you're in charge, act like you're in charge, and you did tonight, and I really appreciate you coming. And both of the people that spoke, thank you for coming also. We don't get this. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I want to congratulate Ms. Days, because she do a great job, and you know that by looking at her, well respected, and she have that charisma that you can see that she get the job done. Thank you so much. Well, I'll say God bless.
Okay, I'll go ahead and close it up. I too want to recognize the police department and the award ceremony. Job well done for everyone who was recognized. We go a whole year doing that, and it's amazing how much goes on. Of course, a whole lot of other things went on too, but we pick out the best, and it was very well attended. And my congratulations to all those who received an award. Councilmember Rector mentioned Chick-fil-A. We got a free sandwich, so it was worth the price of admission. But I mean, it truly is amazing what that store looks like. It's taking up a whole block. And taking into consideration, we got also another Chick-fil-A on Main Street. During my comments, I did thank them for alleviating traffic on Main Street. So we finally figured out how to do that. So everywhere in the city where there's a lot of traffic near a Chick-fil-A, we'll just build another one a quarter of a mile down the road or wherever we want to shift the traffic to. So I thank them for that, and that should open up some more possibilities for us on Main Street when we do our next traffic impact analysis. Now, getting down to serious business, I also want to recognize the passing of Mr. Bill Peachy. My only regret is I've only known him for about 20 years, but I had a lot of interaction with him, not only at the dealership, but volunteering at OBC Hospital, where he was a fixture, and he was there at the same time. I was doing therapy dog work with him, and he's one of the most genuine, uplifting individuals that I've ever met. I don't think he had an enemy in the world. He will be sorely missed, and I know a lot of folks who he had a direct impact on their lives for the last 60 or 70 years. I believe he was 90 years old when he passed away, and he will be missed. Along with that, I just wanted to mention a little bit of something in regards to the tragedy at Old Dominion University. Lieutenant Colonel Brandon Shaw, I think everybody's familiar with that unfortunate situation that happened last week. It was last week. Involved some Army ROTC cadets where an individual went in and with a purpose in mind. And unfortunately, Lieutenant Shaw lost his life. I wanted to recognize the courage shown by those ROTC cadets who acted swiftly to actually subdue the assailant and prevent further loss of life even before law enforcement got there. And I mean, it kind of hit me kind of close to heart because I'm, as a graduate of Old Dominion University, and I also obtained my commission through the Army ROTC program at Old Dominion. I will say that I didn't graduate with the first class, but I started with the first class that graduated from ROTC when it was first implemented in Old Dominion. I won't tell you what year that was, but it was a couple of years ago. And it kind of hit close to home, but when you see instances like this, we're reminded of the importance of always remaining vigilant and standing firmly behind our law enforcement officers and our first responders. They also put themselves in harm's way every day to protect our community. So as we mentioned, as the police chief mentions, for us, for our community to stay safe, it regards a partnership with our citizens, with our law enforcement. And I just wanted to take a moment to recognize that loss as well. And my quote of the night, I'm not exactly sure who the quote was from. I tried to look it up. But we've got a lot going on right now. And that quote is, "Discourse and critical thinking are essential tools when it comes to securing progress in a democratic society. But in the end, unity and engaged participation are what make it happen." And with that being said, I would like to ask for a motion to adjourn at this time. Councilmember Williams?
So moved.
Got a motion for adjournment from Councilmember Williams. Councilmember Wright?
Second.
Second from Councilmember Wright. Any discussion of the motion? Hearing none, council members prepare to vote. Please cast your vote. Madam Clerk, please record the vote.
The motion is approved by a vote of 8-0.
This meeting stands adjourned.